Welcome back, everyone, to Context for Chaos. This is part 3 of Julia and Tim's 2023 interview. Enjoy. So when you have a mentoring program as well, if anybody needs to come to you for, guidance of how to develop themselves, how to, develop even just a practice, even if they don't want to necessarily be a professional reader. So if somebody comes to you and they've never done this before. They've never picked up a tarot deck before. And let's say they're not even getting mentored. Let's just say they're asking the question, where do I start? Where would you tell somebody to start? Like, where would it be? A book, or would it be a practice, an exercise, a question? What do you think you would say?
Sounds like such a simple question, but it can actually be pretty complex. And I would say too that it completely depends on the person who's asking the question, and not knowing that person and what they need, it can be difficult to answer. So very generally, I would probably tell them to find a deck that really resonates with them and just go through it. Just go through it, look at the cards. Don't worry about what they mean. Just look at the images. Go through it, get familiar, see how you feel, do some journaling. It's, have it kind of like loosey-goosey, fluid, whatever. And the other thing that I would say too is reading books is great, but the most important thing, I think, especially when you're starting out, is you have to really be excited and interested. And if you're not, you're going to lose your that enthusiasm and that drive really, really quickly. So you don't want to do things by the books or by the rules or because someone said that worked for them. Like, do what is exciting for you to do. If you see a book that looks really fun and you want to read it, even if it is nothing that anyone's ever recommended to you, go for that, because it's going to have something for you. This is a part of trusting your intuition, and this is what's going to make you a better reader. If you can trust the intuitive process that's going to unravel itself in terms of your own development and learning. So I always tell people to trust that. Do you feel like just journaling with the cards? What do you feel like doing with them? That's probably what you need to do.
I love that. Do you have something else to add, Tim? Is there anything else that you would say, or you pretty much on the same page?
Oh, pretty much exactly the same page.
Yeah. So it's really to start it intuitively instead of starting it scholastically, right?
Have
starting
fun.
it by just, exactly. And that's, I think what people, and myself included, and probably both of you, until, you really started having fun, or maybe you started having fun because your father was somebody who liked doing this, but that we feel like we have to work at our intuition, and our intuition really is so like, I'm just, I'm not working. I'm not taking myself that seriously because I have to tell you the truth, and the truth isn't always serious, or the truth isn't always bad, or the truth isn't always definitive. It's just something that's the truth right now. And if you don't, I've also noticed, and it's funny you say, like, don't go towards, a book initially, but more so like,
unless you want,
unless it calls to you.
If it calls to you, like, if
I
scholastic
agree.
is fun for you, do it.
And I
And then
agree.
it will change over time too, right? Like, sometimes I don't feel like reading about tarot, so I don't, right? Because if I'm pushing it, if I'm resistant toward the practice, then I'm not going to get very far. But when I know I'm in the right spot with it, and when it's just happening to me, and I'm just, it's like flowing, it's just that flow, right?
I love that.
Then I know I'm doing the right thing that I need to do to get the most from the cards. But when I'm feeling like, and I'm pushing myself uphill, and I have to do this, and if I don't do this, then, I'm not really a valid reader, or I'm not really learning what I know. Because it's going to, you can't underestimate how much will just come to you from the inside. That, like, they will just open up inside of you if you go about it in a way that feels right. And
I love that too, because it's when you read the books, and I know both of you have probably experienced this, you have to gear up for the next person's way of doing it, because it starts the same way and it ends the same way. It starts with, here's how you shuffle, here's some decks you can buy, and it's totally understandable because you're imagining that this person is doing this for the first time. But it's not like astrology where there's so many patterns and so many different, like, you guys see all the symbols in it, but it's so subjectively interpreted that if symbology isn't your thing, you can go for colors, or you can go for the numbers, you can do whatever you want with it. So it's not so concrete and directive
Absolutely.
as astrology has to be.
That's
So
right.
if you go at it like, I'm going to buy 8 books, be prepared that you are reading the same story 8 times,
Yeah.
but with different perspectives. So you've got to let that happen over time, because you can't. How many times can you hear about the same party from 3-4 different perspectives? You know,
Great way of
it's
putting
like,
it. Yeah, no,
yeah,
that's absolutely that. That's right.
right. And one person can have like a new thing, like a new nugget, you know, like, oh, I didn't hear that about the Queen of Wands.
Yeah.
What? But it's like, but you had to read through all of them to get back to the Queen of Wands. And
Yeah.
it's just like, so pace yourself. I think that's so important. I'm really glad that that's something that you would, you know, tell somebody. It's not as much about the books, because that, you know, gonna be the same story. Like,
Yeah.
very good stories, but
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So now I want to move to your shadow work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a shadow work workshop, right? Or no?
It's not so much a workshop. It's a resource. It's a free resource on our website. We were going to bundle it as a
Love it.
workshop. But then
Is that why I could read through all of it? It's
Mhm.
the
Yes.
exercises below. Okay,
Yeah.
great. No, it was so perfect. But I saw one day was about tarot, and I wanted to ask you both. You talked about, you know, the murkier colors, the more like looking at it more through the water, through the moon, through sort of, you know, just seeing each card, even if it's maybe a positive card, like where are you feeling something that might bring out something that's a bit more shadowy.
Right.
So, and a lot of people try to use tarot to discover their triggers, to discover their, you know, the source of their pain, because when you're into it, you know, especially if you're not trying to be professional, it's usually on the back of something painful, right? Or something that you're trying to transform inside of yourself, because it keeps bringing about pain. So how would you tell somebody who is, you know, just sitting at home with a tarot deck and just really trying to kind of get to the bottom of something? Would you tell them, you know, go through all of the cards, or maybe set one, like there's always the swords. The swords are always, you know, going back to that psychological issue. Would you tell them to set those swords aside and look through that? How would you tell somebody to approach a shadow work kind of perspective or interpretation of anything?
Yeah, that's, again, that one, it's tough to say, because again, it really depends on the person, the situation. I don't know that I might say, and Tim, you might have a different idea or perspective, but if they're dealing with an issue in particular, there's a couple really potent, simple ways that you can work with tarot to help unpack some of that. And really, regardless of your expertise with the tool or whatever, one way would be just to kind of to keep the issue in mind. If you know what it is, if you're well aware of it, go through the deck and flip through the cards, and very intentionally, and take your time very mindfully, and stop when you get to a card that you feel is kind of like poking at you where that issue is concerned, or looks like something that reminds you about that issue, something that might have something to do with that. Do it very intuitively, and then just take those aside, meditate on them, journal, do some reflection. Another thing you could do is ask the deck, right? You can say, okay, this is what I'm dealing with, and I'd really like to get to the bottom of it. What do I need to know to start to heal this? Shuffle, pull the card, and then, you know, do that same thing. And you can go to the books, of course, but I really do think, especially when you were talking about doing those inner dives and dealing with the shadow and dealing with transformation and all of that, that just having that faith and trust in self that you're going to find that answer within. And even if it's not the traditional answer associated with that card, but maybe something in the card, an image, like you said, a color, something is going to stand out from that card, and just free flow, like stream of consciousness, whatever, write it out and see what comes. It's really just about making space to have that conversation with yourself. So the tool's not really doing it. Like, you're doing it. The tool is an aid, and you're just carving out the space.
I love that. And Tim, do you have any suggestions or anything that you would say?
One thing that I find effective, and I just do this with my just normal daily draws, is I like to do spreads that involve like the subconscious. Or like I do one that I call the surface and depth spread. It's just like what is on the surface and like what's going on underneath. And some like judging the relationship between the two, you can see like whether they're in accordance or whether they aren't. But I personally find that the best I've ever done like shadow working with tarot has been almost unintentional and has been, involved trigger cards. and just like waiting until I discover those cards that trigger me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's very intuitive. It's just, that's really working with that Cancerian energy. Which one do I want to just snap at? Like, which one is really bringing something out
There's
of
been a
me?
lot of those over the years.
I love it. And actually, I think that's really important too, because when we make spreads too elaborate, especially when we're reading for ourselves, we can second guess everything. We can overanalyze a lot of things. And if you keep it to what's on the surface and what's underneath, you know, it's more about getting to the root of it than making it something that you think it's supposed to be. You know, I think sometimes we can get really like, it's supposed to be this massive spread and I'm supposed to really get, you know, like you don't even probably know the positions of all, like what is that supposed to, there's so many, you know, you can get so lost in something like that. So to do just that small check-in, and I think giving permission to people to do a small check-in is really important, because that is where you still have fun, you know, unless you have unless you're working with somebody else and you don't know their story. You know your story, and you know, like most of the time, nothing really happens in that story except stuff that's happening inside of you, you know, like so, until like, you know, months later and the big thing happens. But most of the time, it's like kind of the same thing. So if you keep doing these large spreads, unless you really are trying to, you know, practice, I guess, it's like just give yourself a break. Like,
it's so true. That's actually one of these things that comes up in our mentoring quite a bit. Getting people away from those enormous spreads that overwhelm.
Oh my God. Oh, right. And I wanted to do them too. You know, I think we all aspire. We're like, I'm going to do a 52 coin spread.
We never do a big spread. I mean, ever. Maybe for a birthday or something like a year ahead, but no, never. We keep it simple, you know, not to overwhelm, and just because I think people can really underestimate too how much juice you can get out of one or two cards.
Oh yes, absolutely. I mean, especially if you pull, I mean, and also I don't want to like, and I know you both definitely know this, is with how many dives you've done with these cards, you don't want to overstate the majors. Like the majors are a big, you know, sign, they're a big symbol, but I think a lot of people also just discount the minors because of it. And it's like, the minors are how you're acting. They are you. Like, and the majors are these big archetypes that you don't have any control over. They're happening to you. So if you discount what you're capable of doing, or what you technically in some way have control over, say your actions, your effort, you know, then you're not actually able to engage at all. It's just the things that are happening to you from the majors, you know? So I think that's really important too, is like the smaller the spread, then you're going to have to contend with the minors, like, because those are the ones that are the most in the deck, you know?
Statistically speaking, you're going to get a couple of minors. That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, you know, if you're just waiting on the majors, or if that's the only thing that you feel connected to, then that's actually a sign that you're too out of your body. You're too, you need a balance and come back into your body.
For sure.
Yeah, and so that you feel safe to do something about whatever it is, or to be passive about it if that's what you need, or to think about it, or whatever. Make it more human than, you know, divine, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So now I'm going to ask you, I want to know, we are going to go to the majors now, because I love how much you both just see it in this esoteric occult way. So can both of you tell me what your individual favorite major arcana cards were to like do a dive in? And I know it's hard to say one. No. I totally get it. You don't have to say one. You can tell me a couple. But like, what were the ones that maybe, even if you're like, this was the one that showed up so much for me that I had a major experience with it, or anything? I'm just very curious what you would say.
Do you know what you would say offhand, Tim? I'm thinking about it. Do you know?
I know. Tarot lovers, this is like the hardest question ever.
This is the hardest question ever.
When it comes to personal significance, I'd say some of our deepest and most meaningful work has been around the star. And the star has played a very big role in our relationship as well. And also like maybe even like the interrelationship between the tower and the star following the kind of tower experience. That was like a conversation we had on our first day of meeting.
Was about the star?
the star coming after the tower because we were both going through our own kind of tower experiences.
Oh,
I think we both
know,
kind of
right?
realized.
That is the optimism of like it's like, well, it says it's next, so we're gonna have this. Well, it's recovery, right? And it's authenticity. Now you have nothing that you're blocking. You're having nothing. You don't have anything it's a molding or termite infested structure underneath you. It's like now you're just totally yourself and able to give from yourself. So that makes a lot of sense, seeing how much transformed for both of you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, those two have definitely been up there. I think in terms of like what have been some of the most interesting ones for me personally to have worked through quite heavily in the last couple of years, the tower would be up there. I would also put the hanged man up there. I would put the hierophant up there as well. And death too. Probably we had a year where we just kept pulling death no matter what we asked about. So it definitely.
Oh my God, I had a year like that, and I know exactly what it was, and I was just like, why am I even pulling? Why am I doing this? I know exactly.
Joke. Like, why are we?
Yeah, isn't it?
Let's not even turn it over. And it didn't matter what.
Are you in pain? I'm in pain. Are you in pain?
If you use an oracle deck, then it would still be like Thanatos from the Archetypes Oracle. Anything death related, it would still find its way. So it was kind of a funny thing. But I got, what was that? 3 or 4 cards I named there that have been, maybe because I've learned more about them and they've revealed more about themselves to me that on the surface and in the past I had missed before. So it's interesting just in that sense that it's like, oh, I know a little more about you now.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. I would never ask anyone to only choose from the 22 wonderful major arcana, but I was just curious. Yes, I totally get it. Tim, did you have another one that popped up in your mind?
The temperance card has come up a lot over the last year. Our house, like we have this kind of strange glass door, and our house is always covered in rainbows. Like there are rainbows on every wall at all times.
Yeah, there's rainbows everywhere all the time. No lights. Terrible lights.
Oh my gosh.
Rainbows. We get rainbows, yeah.
That seals your kismet.
It is, yeah. So we equate it to temperance. We feel like it's a very temperance energy that's coming through.
Oh, I love that. I'm the same. I understand. I don't think I could choose, but if I could choose a time in my life that one card was kind of big, it was judgment.
Oh,
yeah, because I didn't understand judgment until that time in my life. Thank you for joining us, and until next time, as above, so below, blessed be.